Hello everyone and welcome into another video. We are Ryan and Megan, two traveling physical therapists who really enjoy this lifestyle and hope to share it with you. Today we are going to go over why you need to travel as a new grad. So let's hop into it.
Okay, so we have a few main bullet points that we think are super important and why you should travel as a new grad. But number one on our list is just the plain simple fact that it's going to be harder to travel if you wait.
Yes, a lot of what we heard as new grads, actually as students about to graduate, was you need at least 1 year of experience in the clinical field before you can even consider travel therapy, right? They want you to get your 1 year of experience, and that's going to somehow make a big difference, and then you can start traveling if you still want to travel at that point. When Megan and I heard that, we were thinking, if we don't do travel therapy now as new grads and start, the odds are we probably won't ever start, because we're creatures of comfort, and as soon as you get comfortable at that first job and you're there for a full year, you have your routine, it's definitely a lot harder to come out of that setting that you feel comfortable in and into an unknown that travel therapy can be.
Yes, so we decided it's better to do it now because it's now or never. It might not be that way for everybody, but we would just say it's typically the rule. If you don't get started right away, it's really hard to transition. But some reasons that it's easy to go ahead and get to that first year of experience is because you're hearing a lot of pushback about why you should wait. And if you're wondering about what that pushback is and what we think about it, you can look at our video. It's like the top 10 myths of travel therapy, where we kind of go through each of those commonly pointed to reasons for either not doing travel therapy at all or waiting to do it until you've got some experience, to kind of armor yourself with some information as to, whether you really can do it or not right out of school.
And I think it's nice to hear the opinions of people who have actually done travel therapy as new grads and are currently traveling, instead of hearing opinions from people who don't really even understand what travel therapy is or haven't traveled themselves.
So check that video out if you want to learn a little bit more about the myths of travel therapy and how to combat those in your own mind to give yourself confidence to go ahead and try out travel therapy.
An additional point I want to add to starting as a new grad and not later in your career is that we kind of view it as a win-win, because you can do anything for 13 weeks, and that is the typical contract. So think 3 months. It's like a clinical rotation, which you've done plenty of those towards the end of your schooling. And so Megan and I felt like, let's just do one travel contract as new grads. We'll see how we feel. If at the end of those 13 weeks we're like, this travel thing is just not for me, then you can go back to your hometown or wherever you want to settle and take that permanent job. There's nothing wrong with that. But there is a great opportunity that you go on those 13 weeks and you're like, wow, this really is an awesome experience. I can't wait to go to my next contract. And so we feel like the benefits outweigh the cons of just not trying it. And so you can try it for 13 weeks.
Yeah, and if you're nervous about leaving home for your first job out of school, and so much changing to being a professional, working, changing location, you don't necessarily have to go across country for your first contract. You can stay relatively close to home, within like 2 to 3 hours outside of your tax home, if a job there is available, and give it a tryout there as well. So there's not so much risk in trying travel therapy as it might seem like there is.
The next thing that we would say is a good reason for you to travel as a new grad is because it's a great way to avoid burnout. Mm-hmm. We're seeing that in the healthcare professions. This is a big thing for that first, second, third, even late into your career. Just healthcare professionals seem to be getting burnt out really quickly. And travel is a unique way to combat that.
Mm-hmm. You just have the opportunity to switch up your location and your setting every 3 to 6 months. It can be up to 11 months if you want to stay at a job that long. But it gives you the opportunity to switch it up, to stay out of office drama, which can be a major part of just whether you enjoy your workplace or not. And it kind of takes a little bit of pressure off because you're not going to be there permanently, which sounds kind of bad, but you don't have to necessarily wear that burden of surviving in the workplace long term because you know that there's an end date. And sometimes you need there to be an end date and you need to move on to something new. So it's just a unique situation to be in.
Yeah, I think for me, when I would start feeling burnout was if we were at a very long contract, maybe like 6 months. Towards the end of that 6 months, I was ready to change it up, to do something new. And just the thought, I would let myself think about it a little bit, but just the thought of like, if I would have signed like a 2-year contract to just be at one place and do the same thing over and over, I could see how I could easily get burnt out quickly in that setting. And it wasn't because the facility was bad. It wasn't because my coworkers were bad. It's just that monotony that sometimes is daunting. It wears you out. And then the added pressure of constantly wanting more from you from a place. Mm-hmm. And so here, when you work 3-month contracts, you can kind of avoid that. And then the big thing, you can avoid that workplace drama. And so since you're only going to be there for a little bit, you don't really have to engage in it. Everyone there is really kind of happy that you're there because you're going to help lighten their load. Mm-hmm. And if there is some workplace drama and you have gotten into it a little bit, there's an end date that you get to leave and go to the next state.
The next benefit to doing travel therapy right out of school is that you can have exposure to a lot of settings. So you've probably had some exposure to multiple settings in your training. But this really just gives you another chance to try your hand at different settings and find out which ones you really like. I know for us, we were completely shocked by which settings we ended up liking and preferring working in. It was completely different from what we thought we were going to do while we were in school. So I'm super thankful for the opportunity to have experience in settings that I probably wouldn't have applied to if I was going permanent. And that might have expedited my burnout if I picked a job in a permanent place that I thought I was going to love and then ended up disliking it, and I wouldn't even know that there was a backup that I liked even more. So it gives you the opportunity to explore those different settings, and again, if you don't like the setting, then you don't have to take another contract in it, and it really gives you a great opportunity to give those a try.
Yeah, coming out of school, I really thought that outpatient physical therapy was going to be my thing. Mm-hmm. I could just work in there at all times. And the few contracts that I've taken with the outpatient physical therapy setting, I've enjoyed. I enjoy that, the challenge of it and all that, but I was getting burnt out of it because I was seeing a ton of patients, as most outpatients do. They kind of cycle them in, and it just takes a lot from you. But then I was able to then take a different contract, maybe in like home health, a little slower pace that has a little better work-life balance. And that was just really nice, kind of touching back on our burnout thing. It did help me not burn out, but it also, I was able to learn skills in home health that I could then apply to some of my outpatient patients. Mm-hmm. And then I could also take some of the skills I learned in outpatient setting from other therapists and apply that to home health or whatever setting I was working in. Yeah. And so it really trained you as an all-around physical therapist. So it's a really great opportunity as new grads.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you just brought up. Is I feel like travel therapy helps you become a well-rounded therapist, to understand the continuum of care, which they talk a lot about in school, about understanding where the patient is at in their continuum of care. And when you've got the chance to see patients in all of those different settings, it really helps you gear treatment towards those specific patient stepping stones. So if I see a patient, an inpatient, and I've worked in home health, I know what I need to work on to get them to the point where they can be receiving home health care and succeeding at that. Or if they're in home health and they want to get to outpatient, and I've worked in outpatient, I know what they're going to be doing in outpatient. So I can prepare them for that. I can tell them what to expect. And that's really unique to have a whole understanding of what the patient is going to experience and be able to prepare them for that as well.
Now, that being said, don't get scared out there and think that your travel recruiter, just places you in settings that you might not feel comfortable in. Nope. You are in control, so you can say yes or no to whatever setting. So just because there's a job in a skilled nursing facility doesn't necessarily mean that you have to sign on the dotted line and take it. These are just things that you could utilize as a new grad and say, well, I'll try out that setting, or I won't try out that setting. So you're in control, no worries. So our next point is the financial point, and it's that you make more money as a travel therapist compared to permanent therapists. There's a lot of factors that play into that, and we kind of go into more detail on that in some of our other videos when we talk about a travel therapy pay package, so be sure to check out our Travel Therapy Insiders playlist. It has all of our videos for you to learn and kind of build your confidence up. And the fact that you make more money, it's really beneficial because, at least for us, we came out of school and we had these mounds of debt. I mean mounds, big mounds. And so we had to figure out a financial plan of how are we going to pay off these student loan debts. And the best thing we could do was go do travel therapy and make twice the amount of money, sometimes more than that per year. And that could really, we could take a huge chunk of that and start paying off our loans. And so that's a big benefit as a traveler. And especially as a new grad, because you're fresh coming out of school, there's not a lot of responsibilities. And so you can utilize that extra money you have to put towards things like paying off student loans. We've put a ton of money towards investments, so like retirement accounts and other investments like that. And to really kind of set you up for later in life to then give you the opportunity to pick and choose when you want to work, which will also avoid burnout.
Yes, I was going to mention that if you're into financial information, that's another pro for starting travel therapy right out of school, because everybody tells you invest when you're young, and how are you supposed to do that when all you're focused on is paying your bills and paying off your loans? And travel therapy's given us the opportunity to invest while we're young and try and lay that foundation. The other benefit to doing travel therapy right out of school is just the plain old simple fact that you get to travel while you're young. So a lot of times the ideal picture in most Americans' minds is I'm going to work, I'm going to retire, and then I'm going to go see the world. But by that time, your body has aged a little bit, and it might be a little harder to either have the energy to get out, or you might have to limit what you can go see just based on what your body can do. And so it's just a great time to get out and see as much of at least the US that you can while you're young and while your body can typically take you more places.
Yeah, this has been probably one of our favorite things as starting travel therapy as new grads, is because we've picked contract locations near places we wanted to go see. So a lot of times we're big national park buffs or geeks, and we wanted to go see those national parks or beautiful areas, nature areas. And so by living in the area, it then opened up a world of weekend trips that we could go up to Glacier National Park. We could go check out a cool waterfall hike on the weekend. And it wasn't just within our 2 weeks of vacation at the permanent job.
Or even within our time off between contracts.
Yeah.
We really utilized weekends to go and see as much as we could. And it's easy to do that because you don't have a whole bunch to manage when you're on the road. You're just working this job and you don't have a home because you're not living in a permanent house. Your responsibilities stay really low, so you're free to go and do that stuff on the weekends.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, traveling between contracts. So your contract might end, and since you've made enough money, you don't necessarily have to start the next contract right at the end of the other one. And so you might be able to take a week or two or months off to go really see all the national parks in your area or whatever you're into, cities, and experience that. And so that is an awesome perk and one we've really benefited from. We look back on our 2 years of travel therapy and we think of everything that we've seen. We've seen over 21 national parks. We've been to 20 plus different states, different cities like Seattle and
just Seattle.
Seattle and Las Vegas. And so we've had a really great time, and that's really shaped us as people. And that's a really unique thing that your permanent job really doesn't offer too much.
Yes. And then lastly, we think another major perk to traveling is that you've got the opportunity to meet people you would never meet before and meet lifelong friends who are experiencing the same exact thing as you. So we have met wonderful friends along the road, people we would have never met before, but that we keep in touch with still, and that we still can plan on meeting up with in the future for jobs. And
yeah, you meet people in that town that you're usually living near or in, co-workers and friends, and then that gives you a little point, connection point where you can go back to, for us, we can go back to Montana and see those people and really enjoy time with them in that area. You meet other travel physical therapists or travel therapists we've met a lot of friends. We just had what we call a beer Wednesday over Zoom to hang out with everyone. And then another fun thing is that you get to travel with them. And so we've had multiple contracts where we met someone, in Arizona, and then we all decided, hey, let's go to Washington this summer. And so we all got contracts in the state of Washington and met up and did hikes and stuff like that. And so it's really great. It's just kind of amazing the people that you meet all over the United States, and you get to see kind of how they do life.
Yes, so as you can tell, we love travel therapy. We would not change a thing about choosing to do it right out of school. I'm so thankful we did that. It's one of the best decisions we made. We look back on it with no regrets and just oh my goodness, we're so thankful for that time. It's a unique time in your life to try and take advantage of trying out travel therapy if it's something that you're interested in. So we definitely recommend it. We recommend checking out the rest of our Travel Therapy Insiders playlist if you have other questions or if you're nervous about it. We really have a goal of helping share our experience and any information that we have on travel therapy with you to make you feel confident to try it. Because I definitely, on my own, would never have been confident enough to try it if I didn't have him over here educating me and telling me about all of the benefits of it. So we want to do the same thing for you because it's a decision we don't think you'll regret. So
yeah, feel free to leave us a comment if you have a question down in the YouTube comments below, or find us over on Instagram. Our handle is @RyanandMegan, and send us a direct message. Ask us questions. We try to get back to all those. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Consider subscribing to our channel. That supports us and lets us know that these videos are beneficial, so we can keep making more of them. And then if you are really interested in getting into travel therapy and want to learn more, consider getting recommended recruiters. And so we always say, we always don't mind sharing who we personally work with and trust. And it's always makes the experience a lot better when you have a really good recruiter that's going to send you to a place that you truly want to go and help you get those contracts. And so feel free to click the link down in our description. We'll have our recruiter recommendations, and that just messages us so we can connect you with them.
So thank you so much for joining and spending your time with us. We hope it was helpful. We hope you feel more confident. Give it a try. Leave comments letting us know your experience and what you're doing right now. And until next time.
See ya.